I know you had said that you generated a bunch of commissions from open houses as a new agent. I would love to hear your thoughts on and maybe you take us back even before the open houses, like you got into the business. How did you hit the ground running to try to get deals?
Yeah. So open houses were really the main pillar of my business when I started, because for me, I knew that as a new agent, my sphere wasn't necessarily going to just trust me right off the bat with something so big. So I would ask all the agents at my brokerage if I could host open houses for them, and it was quantity over quality at the beginning. I just needed to have as many conversations as possible and kind of practice what to say. And so I didn't have any listings at the beginning. So I was asking these experienced agents if I could host opens at their listings. And I really put in some sweat equity on those. I would offer to do a social media video for them. I would send them my whole pre-marketing strategy, which I'll get into, my during open house advertising follow-up plan, because there were a lot of agents asking to do these open houses. So I felt like I needed to do something to stand out. So yeah, before the open house, I would always go to the listing and do a video. And then before the open house, it was about a week, I would prep for it by doing circle dialing about 3 or 4 days before. I'd pull the numbers and the emails of the neighbors from Remine, or you can use Mojo or RedX or any of those dialers. And so I would call all the neighbors and invite them to the open house.
Wow.
And I would ask if they knew anybody who was interested in moving to the neighborhood. And that was just a good way to have conversations with them, because that's where a lot of that commission that I made came from, was the neighbors. It wasn't necessarily people that came into the open house.
Just the golden nugget there of standing out. I just went to the 10X conference, which was Grant Cardone's conference, and John Maxwell made the point of, you're basically in a pile of bodies. When you want something out of life, there's a ton of other people that want it, and you're just a pile of people. And he goes, how do you get yourself out of the pile to stand out? And he gave the example when he was trying to get mentored by John, I think it was Wooden, the famous basketball coach. He, spent, dozens of hours coming up with tons of different questions. And he went through the whole thing of when he sat down with John Wooden, he pulled out his notepad and went over all these questions. And John Wooden was so impressed that he said it didn't get him totally out of the people pile, but he said, I got a hand out. I got a foot out where John Wooden could actually see me versus all the other pile of people. And in your situation, you literally showcase to that agent, here's how I'm going to market your listing that you have and make you look awesome. And then you took it to the next level, filming a video, going and actually calling the neighbors just to get yourself out of the pile of other agents that were asking for that listing, which is incredible.
Yeah, well, thank you. And it's interesting because we have to do that with consumers too. But the fact that I had to do that with the agents to even host the open house. But yeah, I feel like as realtors too, we're a dime a dozen. There's everybody's a realtor. So you have to do something to stand out. And I think that was a big thing for me doing open houses, is I'm like, they're going to 5 or 6 open houses on a Sunday. I want them to remember me and my open house versus all the other ones. And so I have a bunch of stuff that I do, and I still do at every single open house. So the day of the open house, I do 5 to 10 directional signs, which are so important. That's where, so I have a $1.2 million buyer right now because of a directional sign.
Jeez. Wow.
That is why they came in, and I'm working with them now. I got a neighbor's listing because of the directional sign. And so they're so annoying to put out and pick up when you're tired at the end of the day. But that one is definitely worth the time and energy, because those are the people that you want, the people that live in the neighborhood and already own a home. And so I have people sign in at the open houses, but if they're not going to sign in, I'm not going to force them to. And my biggest thing is I don't let people leave empty-handed. I'm a big gift giver in life in general. And so I carry that over into my open houses. So at the open house, I have a couple different things I give everyone. So first thing is a little goodie bag with some snacks, candy, a branded item. And then depending on the price point, I'll also do like a $5 Starbucks gift card in there. I've had people call me say, hey, I remembered you. You were the one that gave us the gift card. This is like months after that open house.
Wow.
Yeah. And then that's not even, I think, the most important part. I think the other two things that are actually like real estate value are the most important. So the one is an open house schedule of all the open houses that weekend in the town. And I don't know really why no other agent does that, because I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Wow.
But yeah, I do that. And then I also have kind of my magic word sentence that I say to people who are at the open house. I ask them if they're being notified of properties that are in the private network. And anyone listening, just so that's coming soon or off market.
What a great line. The private network. That is so good.
It's the FOMO. You create that and it generates that curiosity. And no other agents are creating that offer during their open house. So immediately people are like, oh, I want to be a part of that. And so then I get them set up. I'll get their email if they didn't already sign in. They're like, oh yeah, like add me to that. I want to know this. I want to know this town, this town, and this town. Here's what I'm looking for. And boom, you have their set of criteria that they're looking for. You know what they want. You know, if they, oh, I live in this town. This is what my house looks like. So it's just like
that
awesome.
Is such gold. Yeah, that is so
good.
I
get excited talking about it because it's just so fun. And then, so I do that and then they leave. And then after the open house, the follow-up, you have like Ryan Serhant is the one that's always like follow up till the deal happens or they die or whatever he says. And I totally agree with that. So I do a text like right after the open house. I have a pretty good response rate with text. Some people do video follow-up messages. I just haven't had the best response rate with that. So I do a text and then the first business day after the open house, so Monday, I call everyone who gave me their number, unless they said, don't call me. And then I'll just ask them, what did you think of the open house? What did you think of the other houses you saw that weekend? And I just build a rapport with them. And it's really just like having a good relationship because sometimes they are already working with an agent and they'll tell you that, but you can still be a person that gives them value if they have an agent already. Like I sent other listings to people who have an agent and they're like, thank you so much. And they'll send my info to their friend or their daughter or something like that. And then just continuing to follow up, like sending similar properties every once in a while, calling if there's another open house like in that same area they were at. And yeah, I've had people transact with me a week after the open house. And I've also had people that I follow up with for a year. They never respond. And then they finally respond and they want to buy or sell with me. So it's just continuing to have those touch points.
Hey, Stay Paid listeners, wasn't that a great clip?
It sure was, Josh. And if you want to hear the full episode, make sure you click right here.
Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.
Come on, click right here.
It's right here.
Yeah.
We got you.
Right here.
It's not that hard. Go ahead.